Your Royal Highness Secretary Pritzker, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dallas. And welcome back to the United States for the first time since we were together in Las Vegas in 2011. That gathering was instrumental in providing the international perspective on the post-9/11 travel and tourism landscape in this country. The lost decade of economic growth, the visitors who didn't visit, the jobs which weren't created, and the $600 billion lost to the US economy in 10 years. The Global Summit in Vegas represented a tipping point. It was the culmination of years of effort by CEOs in this room, supported at the right time by global pressure to produce a big impact. This was public-private sector cooperation at its very best. Within 12 months, Brand USA became fully active. The National Travel and Tourism Strategy had been created. President Barack Obama signed the executive order, announcing new initiatives to significantly increase the number of visitors coming to the United States. Since these changes, the US has received some $30 billion extra in international tourism receipts. I remember watching the President's address. The tone was different. The words were different. He had got the message. He understood.
Tourism is the #1 service we export, and that's because we've got a great product to sell. Every year, tens of millions of visitors come to places like the Grand Canyon, the Golden Gate Bridge, and Disney World. They rent cars, stay in hotels, eat at restaurants, and check out the sights. They add billions of dollars to our economy, and that helps support jobs all across the country. I want more of these tourists to come visit. I want America to be the top tourist destination in the world.
What the President did not say is that the US is the world's largest travel and tourism economy, contributing a total of $1.4 trillion and 13.5 million jobs. It far outstrips the size of China, Germany, Japan, and every single G20 country. The world needs a prosperous US travel and tourism sector, for it accounts for $1 in every $5 created by our sector worldwide. And as this country came out of the worst recession since the Great Depression of the 1930s, the economic contribution from the additional visitors generated more jobs, more investment, and more visitor dollars. So we're back in the United States to explore how we look up beyond our usual operating horizons to travel beyond boundaries. Another global financial crisis is on the horizon. Negative interest rates, plunging commodity prices, unimaginably low oil prices, the risk of sovereign debt default, deflationary forces, competitive monetary policy, slowdown in China. But look how we can thrive on disruption. We gather here in Dallas to touch the foundation stone of the global low-cost airline industry. Less than 10 miles from here, Southwest moved beyond tried and tested business models and provided the blueprint for great low-cost travel. And new boundaries are being pushed with the rapid rise of the sharing economy, social media, digital disruption. Less than 10 years after being founded, Airbnb is valued at around $25 billion, or about the same as Starwood and Intercontinental Hotel Groups combined. Yet it doesn't own a single hotel room. Uber is valued at around $60 billion, even before it moves into deliveries, and yet it doesn't own a single car. But both of these businesses are disrupting the status quo, driven by great product, technology, consumer need, and convenience. And in the realms of science and technology, we reach out beyond any understanding of our ancestors to embrace a new era of robotics and automation. We live in an ever-connected world, brought closer by technology, multi-platform media, binding trade agreements, and the sheer speed of travel. That same connectivity sees us witnessing the migration of peoples on a scale not seen for decades. Navigating our way through and beyond the complexities of mass migration, embracing the possibilities whilst acknowledging the concerns, will be the urgent task of our global leaders in the years ahead. And boundaries are being breached in new areas of combat. In our data-dependent world, new battlegrounds are being drawn up. Strategies on security and data protection are being redefined. Cyber-terrorism is the new theatre of war. Yet even cyber-terrorism is shaded by the dark, random brutality of physical terrorism. From Paris to Palmyra, from Cairo to California, we have to prevent an overreaction from governments who are wrestling with this question: how can we keep our borders safe whilst keeping those same borders open to travellers and tourists? We addressed this topic yesterday in a ministerial dialogue with some of our members, laying out a blueprint for how we can work together to stop borders being closed. We call upon the world's leaders to improve radically international intelligence and security agency cooperation. Many attacks are perpetrated by homegrown terrorists. Closing our borders and jeopardizing our freedom to travel is not the solution. Such political, social, and economic shifts undoubtedly give us enormous challenges, but they also offer up extraordinary challenges. To harness our industry to that changing world, to influence it, to define it, to break boundaries. For the world needs a thriving, prosperous travel and tourism sector. Globally, the sector contributes $7.2 trillion, almost 10% of the world's GDP, and supports 1 in 11 jobs on the planet. We account for 6% of all exports and around 4% of all investment. But beyond the economic arguments, there is the human side. Travel and tourism brings people together. It puts a smile on people's faces. It alleviates poverty. It provides employment across all levels of society and in some of the most remote places on Earth. It broadens horizons and breaks boundaries. Travel and tourism truly is a force for good in this world. So what is stopping us? What are the barriers to our ambition? Some of these boundaries are very familiar to WTTC. Our fight for freedom to travel in a safe and secure environment. Our mandate to ensure that taxation is applied intelligently. Our struggle for the right infrastructure. And our focus to get the best talent into our businesses. For these are critical issues which drive our work to maximize the long-term sustainable growth of this sector. Our relationship with the World Tourism Organization is the best example of public and private sector partnership, speaking with one voice, delivering consistent messages. Together with Secretary General Talib Rifai, we've met with 82 heads of state in the last 4 years, taking the message of social and economic importance of our sector to the very people who make the decisions. Together we launched the Global Travel Association Coalition to expand our influence with government, creating a unified plan with IATA, ACI, ICAO, CLIA, WEF, and PATA. This agenda prioritised action on the 4 issues of greatest importance to our sector: visas and security,